And just like this comment says right here, is it time to limit the transfers? And hey man, I agree. Y'all know how I feel about them. I'm all for the transfer portal. I'm all for the NIL. But where I start to draw the line is when a guy transfers, not once, but for the third time. Or not the third time, but he transfers twice and he goes to a third school. Yeah, there we go. Here we are again. Here we are again. Another day, another 4,000 new names into the transfer portal. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. I guess this is the new reality of college football, and I shouldn't be shocked by it too much. We got a lot of weird transfer situations to talk about in today's video, but I'm going to be letting know right now, this one did shock me. DJ Ugabadoogie yet again has entered the portal. This is the one that is trending everywhere. Everyone's talking about it for a good reason. Why would he leave? He's a starting quarterback for Oregon State. It seemed like things are going great, and this is the one downside to the portal. You have starters who are leaving to go somewhere else. And yet again, I've said before, if you're a bench player, I understand it in the transfer portal. But if you're a starter, it's just like, man, what are you doing? I thought Oregon State had a pretty good season. I thought it was a decent fit for him, but I guess he wants to see if the grass is greener elsewhere. We're going to talk all about that in today's video, but also not just one, but two other notable quarterbacks, they entered the portal as well. And I think these two quarterbacks are better than DJ Uiagalelei, and I could see him going to big-time programs and making an immediate impact. I think it's more than safe to say that the transfer portal, it's going crazy. As always, if you're new to the channel or you've been watching and you're simply not subscribed, consider joining our amazing community. But all right, man, blah, blah. Shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. You know what? Let's do this. I hope y'all don't mind too much, but we're going to take a look at some of the comments on the recent video because I'm so curious to see what you guys have to say. We're going to take a look at the comment section from this video right here where I went on a rant and tangent pretty much saying that the new CFP rankings, they're straight up awful. If you haven't seen that video, feel free to check it out. I hate every single thing about these new rankings. And hey, man, I get it. It's going to be controversial, and that's why I want to see what some of you guys had to say in the comments. Let's check on this comment. It's got a lot of likes, one of the top ones. The committee got it right. All right, I already know, before we go any farther, there's probably about to be some BS, but let's continue on. Let me say this. For anyone that thinks the committee got these most recent rankings right, you don't know ball. Continuing along here, it's been like this for years. Teams know the easiest route is an undefeated record. Ranking certain teams high pre or early season has spoiled them to being able to take losses and remain high. This has been their formula for years. FSU started at number 8, went undefeated, but shouldn't be at 4? Oh, okay, so this makes sense. This has got to be a Florida State fan, right? One thing I've never argued is an undefeated team in the top 3 to 5 teams. It's a team sport, not quarterback-only league. Yeah, this has got to be a Florida State fan. So I guess this person's just trying to advocate that Florida State should be where they are, and I've been saying this entire time, that Florida State should not be ranked ahead of Oregon currently, Texas, Ohio State, and Alabama. No way. And you're right, it is a team sport, but for you to sit up here and act like losing your star quarterback isn't a big deal, that's how I know you don't know ball. What are you talking about, man? It's the same thing for Oregon, Washington, Texas, all the big time teams. We saw how bad Texas looked when they didn't have Quinn Ewers. Every single team in the top 10, if they lose their star quarterback, yes, I'm going to de-rank them. It's not me devaluing the team. It's just common sense. It's a quarterback-driven sport. It's just a coping mechanism that Florida State fans are trying to use that, oh, well, it doesn't matter that we lost our starting quarterback. It's a team sport. Like, what? Come on, man. I'm not going to sit up here and go on another rant and tangent about why Florida State shouldn't be ranked where they are. It's self-explanatory. At least it is for me. That's my humble opinion. And hey, every single one of you, you're entitled to your own opinion. If you think Florida State should be the #1 team, then yeah, that's your opinion. That's all there is to it. We'll read off 2 more comments here because we really need to get into the main focal point of the transfer portal. Ryan Dawkins says, shout around here, they're not going to put an 11-1 team over a 12-0 team. That's just common sense. It doesn't matter if you think one team is better than the other. You can't prove that. Everyone last year thought Michigan was better than TCU, and Michigan was the favorite, and TCU ended up winning. I'm a Michigan fan, by the way. This is a reason why there needs to be a 12-team playoff. I can't wait for next year, and thank you for that comment. It's a pretty good one. You see, I can get down with what Ryan said here because he backed up his claim, what he was stating, with evidence. And I'm getting the vibe that he doesn't even necessarily agree with it, but he's just trying to explain to me and everyone else, hey, this is how it is. We saw it last year. It's going to be the same way this year. And I'm like him at the end of the statement, we need the 12-team playoff this year, and I'm ready for it next year. The 4 teams, it's obviously no longer enough. It was enough early on, but now it's like, no, we need more. I've always advocated for the 12-team playoff, and I can't wait for it. We'll go with one more comment here from Brian. Shout out to Brian. Bama is being punished because Texas hasn't played great in the later part of the season. Had Bama lost to somebody else, they would have already moved up past Texas and Oregon and would be sitting at 5th. With the win over Georgia being a guarantee for Bama being in, but because of the head-to-head with Texas, it has hindered us. That's pretty interesting. Let me know your thoughts on all of that, and I could sit up here and read out these comments. There's so many. We could talk about this college football playoff, who should be where for the next 30 minutes, you know how I am, but we got to get into the transfer portal. So with that being said, moving along here to the main topic, the main encore, the main reason you clicked onto this video. What is going on? Well, for starters, let's address this, and we'll talk about this later. Duke's quarterback, Riley Leonard, he entered the portal, and that's big time news because a lot of people are stating that he might go to Auburn or Notre Dame. Keep your eyes on that. I will be talking about that more tomorrow, so if you want some more information on that, just stay tuned. Riley Leonard is a really good quarterback, good prospect. I think a lot of teams are going to go after him. To go along with that, breaking news also came out yesterday that Coastal Carolina's quarterback, Grayson McCall, has entered the portal. For those of you that don't know, this one's really fascinating because he entered it last year, but there was something wrong with his academics, and he was going to go to Auburn, but it just didn't happen, and he had to return back to Coastal Carolina. I don't even want to try to break that down. It was just a huge mess. Long story short, the thing with Auburn, it fell through. And since Auburn couldn't get him, they wound up going after Peyton Thorne, and the rest is history. Well, now fast forward in time, he is back into the portal, and it was being stated last year that he was going to finish this year out at Coastal Carolina, and then he's going to transfer to Auburn in this upcoming portal, which is now. Is that still going to come to fruition? Is it still going to happen? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to make a couple phone calls tonight and tomorrow morning because there's a lot of traction about him going to Auburn, so just watch out for that one as well. It's a really fascinating situation, though, because I don't know if Auburn is sold on Peyton Thorne, but at the same time, I think they like him. And if we have any Auburn fans in the comment section, let me know. How do you feel about Peyton Thorne, and do you think he's a guy, or should you go after Grayson McCall or Riley Leonard? And it's hard for me to even evaluate Peyton Thorne because Auburn was a run-heavy offense this year. They didn't pass much. You know what? I'm curious. Let me pull up Peyton Thorne's stats. I wonder what he wound up finishing this year. Okay, yeah, here's his stats. Only 1,600 passing yards, 15 touchdowns to 9 INTs, QBR of 61.8. Not atrocious, but not good. Also got to throw in there, Auburn is in a rebuilding season. They didn't have too many weapons on offense, so you got to take that into account. Like I said, let me know how y'all feel about Peyton Thorne because I don't even know how I feel about him, but if I was the Auburn head coach, yeah, I'd go after some other guys in the portal because a good quarterback competition never hurt anybody. But let's get into the biggest name that is in the transfer portal most recently, and that is no other than DJ Ugabadoogie, a.k.a. Uyunglele. And just like this comment says right here, is it time to limit the transfers? And hey, man, I agree. Y'all know how I feel about them. I'm all for the transfer portal. I'm all for the NIL. But where I start to draw the line is when a guy transfers, not once, but for the third time. Or not the third time, but he transfers twice and he goes to a third school. Yeah, there we go. I get it. He left Clemson because, number one, it wasn't a good fit, and number two, he was benched. That's all fine and dandy. But then he goes to Oregon State this year, and I thought he had a pretty decent year. Oregon State gave him the keys to the offense, and he didn't have to look over his shoulder, worry about being benched. And I get it, Oregon State's in the big dilemma with the Pac-12 and whatnot, and maybe he's not too happy with the coaching situation, but you're still going to be the starter next year no matter what. And let's not try to act like he's leaving because Oregon State's not a good football team. They're good. But yet, for some odd reason, it's not enough for him. He's like, I'm going to see if the grass is greener somewhere else. It's like, come on, man, what are we doing? And here's my question. Who would even want this guy? And I'm talking about a team that is already better than Oregon State, because it's hard for me to imagine he'd go to a team that is worse than Oregon State, right? Because at that point in time, it just seems like self-destruction. I just have a hard time believing that any team, a legit team in the top 15, is going to go after this guy. Let me know in the comment section, what do y'all think old Ugabadoogie is going to do? My only assumption is he entered this portal just because of the uncertainty at the coaching position. That's it. And oh yeah, before we end up this video, I had multiple people tag me in this, and it almost got me for a second. I'm like, wait a minute. And it's trending on Twitter, and this is why I say you can't believe everything you see. So somebody sent this to me, and look at what it says. Breaking. Texas A&M wide receiver Evan Stewart, by the way, former 5-star recruit, has entered the NCAA transfer portal. On3 has learned Iowa and South Carolina top the list for the former 5-star. All right, buddy. Here's the first thing that should have been a red flag to anyone that was sending this to me and thought it was real. When you saw Iowa for the top, what? Come on, man. Iowa getting a 5-star wide receiver, that should have been a giveaway. And then number two, why don't you take a look at the username? Durag Ed, referring to Durag Ed Ogeron. Buddy, look at the profile picture. No way y'all thought this was real. No way. And I had a few people send this to me saying, yo, Matt, look, he finally entered the portal. Like, dude, look at the profile picture of this account. There's many more things we could cover, but we'll leave it at that for now. Let me know your thoughts down below. But,